Amy, welcome to the Viall Files. How are you?
Why am I nervous?
Hi,
Nick. Hi, Natalie.
Are you nervous because you're just nervous doing interviews, or you're specifically nervous for this one?
I'm specifically nervous for this one because I don't know what you're going to ask. And I know you dig deep, and I know you've got just a different personality about yourself that you just you find out answers.
Okay. I'll take that as a compliment.
Yes, no, it's a good compliment. It's a good compliment.
Well, you have your new book out or coming out. Holy Disruptor is coming out, of which you get into a lot of details of your childhood, your time on reality TV with the Duggars, which for me, have always been fascinated with. For those of you who don't know, for maybe who people are tuning in for the first time to listen to Amy, I have 10 brothers and sisters. I come from a very large family. So while I was never necessarily a fan of Meet the Duggars, I was very aware of it, just because as soon as it came out, I immediately would get a lot of questions. There was always this fascination with very large families. I grew up very Catholic and you're in a very religious household. And, most people knew that. I'm sure the questions when people I'm sure you're familiar with would meet your nieces and nephews, all the same questions. Are you guys religious? Are you Mormon? Are you Catholic? Why do you have so many siblings? Are any twins, all from the same parents? All these questions that come with it. I was always very self-conscious of it because I always saw my family as relatively normal, we every family have its quirks and,
Sure.
Ups and downs, but we were always normal.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you, Nick.
So I was very I guess your show, I was very almost uncomfortable with it because especially as stuff started coming out. And it was almost as if the Duggar family ended up becoming the stereotypes some of the critics of religious families or large families would have that I would be very sensitive to. Yeah, it was I was you guys are making us look bad type of thing.
Well, I wasn't, but I understand why you would feel that way.
Yeah. Yeah, not you, the show.
No.
But the show itself.
But yes, no, I get that.
And obviously your book is all about coming forward as someone who's finding a voice through a lot of the abuse that you witnessed and even experienced on your own. And a lot of the people who follow this show, we certainly love to give a voice to people who find their voice, people who have been victims. And we've all faced some sort of adversity and tragedy, but people who are able to work through it and survive it and be stronger for it on the other side. It's hard to say better for it because you don't want to imply that you have to go through abuse or tragedy to be better. But if you can be stronger, there's a silver lining or at least a reason for hope. So I'm very excited to talk with you. I hope you're not nervous. And we certainly want to
I'm calming down.
learn more about, your story. I guess just starting with, what I am fascinated about is the relationship. As I didn't realize at the time, but I asked you, how many siblings do you have? I assume maybe you would say, oh, I have 6,
Right.
Not 19,
No.
There's not 19 of us, but there's a lot, but you're an only child.
I'm an only child.
So explain to me how that happens where your mom is sisters of Jim Bob.
Yes.
The father of the Duggar family.
Yeah.
The infamous Duggar family. And how does it go from you being an only child to having this close relationship with your family that had 19 children?
Yeah. So, I just grew up. My mom and dad had one child. They were fine with that. They were fulfilled. And every time that my aunt and uncle were pregnant, it just always added more and more. Every year was another baby to celebrate and another baby and another baby. So, I've held all of them, I was very, very close with them. And it almost felt like I was an extra sister in a way, but I spent a lot of my time over there. I did everything with them,
So y'all lived down the street?
We lived 5 minutes away from each other.
Okay.
Wow.
Do you remember when the opportunity to turn this into a TV show was presented to the family?
I do remember.
What was that experience like and how involved were you from the beginning?
So I wasn't involved at all. They started doing a documentary. It started off with a newspaper clipping. and it had my uncle who was in politics, and like 6 of his kids were like little ducklings behind him walking to a Capitol, and someone took a picture of it and said like, who is this family? This is so cute. They're all matching and color coded, and it equaled, a documentary being filmed and that kind of thing. And then next thing you know, they get a call from TLC. So it was just one of those things where it just kind of happened organically. And I wanted honestly nothing to do with it because I'm not really like them. They have certain rules and restrictions that I didn't have. And so it wasn't until season 1 that I was just there picking up my grandma at their house and trying to just get her to come to the car, and she refused and was like, no, you need to come inside. And I was like, and it was when all the camera crew was there, all the things. And so, she had like a hidden agenda that she didn't tell me about. And so I walked in and there they are sitting, choir, all meek and mild and silent and obedient. And yeah, they're filming. And so I had to walk around the cameras, like trying to get as far away as possible from them to get, to my grandma's door. And yeah, they asked me if I wanted to be a chaperone for Josh and Anna, who are adults. But in their world, they need like a babysitter. They need someone to watch after them to make sure that they, behave correctly and walk the line.
And then how did you become like really a part of the show?
Yeah. So in that moment, I'm walking, trying to be careful and quiet. And the producer was like, I'm sorry, my uncle was like, who wants to be the chaperone? Let's everyone put their names in the hat. And I'm drawing a name. And I laughed out loud because, it's ridiculous. These grown adults need supervision. Like what? And so I was
How old were they at the time, and how old were you at the time?
They were like 20, I believe, 19 or 20.
Okay.
And I was a year older than Josh,
Okay.
so like 21. And I'm like, like I just kept walking, like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. And the producer saw that, and he was like, who are you?
Yeah.
Kind of like zeroed in on me. And I was like, I'm Amy. I'm just here to pick up grandma. Like, no big deal. And he was like, no, you need to jump on camera. And I was like, and then that's how it all began.
Did you have a conversation with your parents about like, should I do this? Like you were an adult at that point?
I was an adult.
So you didn't really need their permission?
I didn't really need permission, but I was just like, hey, I already love my family. It's already something like fun. Why not? Let's just do it. And so I became just like a part of the show.
What was your opinion of the Duggar family at that point? Were you did you see it through rose-colored glasses at that point?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. It was like I had them on a pedestal.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. They were the epitome of perfect. I'm not even kidding. Like the mom never screamed or yelled or got anxious or annoyed or needed a timeout from being a mom. The dad was always providing, kind, really fun, hands-on with the kids. The kids were always like the kindest to each other. They weren't allowed to be, any kind of like bragging or stupid or they weren't allowed to call names.
Wow.
Nothing. It was like going back to like black and white TV.
Do you deliberately say the mom and the dad because you don't want to say their names?
I am watching Legal. Do you blame me?
Allegedly.
In my opinion. Yes.
Okay. Fair enough.
I have to.
No, that makes sense.
There's targets on my back, I'm sure. They're watching.
In serious, are you doing this with a sense of fear?
There is a sense of fear, but there's always a sense of freedom that comes with it. So for me, it's like, I'm going to tell my story no matter what, because it can help people out there. You don't have to live the way that I lived for a very long time.
What are your aunt and uncle doing today?
I have no idea.
You have no idea?
I have no idea. I haven't spoken to them in a very long time.
Are they still public figures in any way?
Maybe. Ish.
Okay.
Do you keep in contact with any of your cousins?
I'm very close with Jill.
Okay.
Who had a book as well, and it was great, and she's wonderful. And when she actually goes over to her parents' house, say hi to her mom and the cousins or her brother and sister, I watch her kids.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So we have a very close relationship.
Okay. So at what age did you realize, like, wait, this feels wrong, the way that you're treating everyone? Like, this feels icky.
Well, it took a very long time.
Really?
All the rules and regulations and the things that were like all over, like the rules in the house were just like pieces of paper with like all these rules on it. And like, it was just how they grew up. So for a while there, I didn't think anything of it because I didn't know anything different, kind of thing. I mean, I did in my own world, but over there, it was just how they were.
Okay. Yeah.
And it wasn't until I started seeing some things happen in the house that made me really, really question, like, wait a second, who else is really hurting?
Do you remember the first thing you saw?
Yeah. There was a couple of things. First off, Josh had an old computer and my dad bought it. I was home one day and looking through it and learning about the new MacBook back in the day.
Your dad bought his computer. Okay.
And on it said Josh's Files. And I was like, huh. And so I clicked on it thinking like, you forgot to delete it. And thousands of pornographic images were on there. And so here's this perfect son who smiles on cue and his hair is neatly gelled and all of these things. And yet he had kind of a big secret, a different, something he was really struggling with, clearly. It's not a crime, but at the same time, it just shows that like, something's off.
Maybe they weren't as perfect as maybe.
The material you found, it was there, to be clear, it wasn't of any illegal stuff.
No, not that I saw.
Certainly not the type of content you would expect to find from how they presented.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they were all about, just Jesus and religion and being happy and walking in his ways. And yet this obviously wasn't.
When you found that out, like, what did you do with that information?
Yeah. So I told my mom and she was just like, okay, we've got to call Jim Bob. I'm just going to say his name. I have to call him. And so we did. And I was quickly dismissed. I was told that, Amy, there's no way that's my son's files. He would never look at such imagery.
He has his name on it.
I know. I know.
Like he wasn't very discreet.
Also his computer.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, okay. He said that Josh bought the computer from a pawn shop. And so that could have been the name of the guy from the pawn shop.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
So from that point forward, there's sometimes a moment where you kind of, it's like you kind of wake up, you become aware of things.
Yeah.
Was that a moment where all of a sudden you started looking to see what else is maybe going on? Because again, someone who's very familiar with religion, I've always had I'm not very religious anymore these days, but I've always had a very positive experience with religion. But I am very familiar with a lot of people who present as religious. It's a bit of a show, right? And
definitely can be.
Yeah, and they hold up. There's some people who will own, hey, I'm a sinner. I try not to be, but like I'm not going to sit there and pretend that I don't.
Right.
And I will continue to ask for forgiveness when I need it. But I'm a flawed person who will always and every day need grace. But it seems like your cousins and aunts and uncles and things like that, they almost presented as very pious.
Oh, yes. Like they were like on the highest level that you could possibly be with Jesus. Just like there was no other, you couldn't get higher. You know what I mean? Just like everything was so perfect. I can't even describe to you. Like there's bread baking in the homemade bread and the kids are playing chess and everyone's so kind to each other and there's classical music in the air. And it's just like, this is wonderful. Like, why can't we all live like this?
And then what was your childhood like?
It was hell. It was absolutely hell. Yeah. I grew up with a lot of yelling. A lot of screaming. My mom and dad were not married. They had me out of wedlock. So there I am, a walking sin already, something that my cousins didn't approve of. My family didn't approve of.
Did you feel their judgment even as a young child?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I definitely felt like, I was told like, Amy, you need a man to help you like tame you down, and just felt like I was too much. I was too loud. I didn't speak like an IBLP woman speaks. They are taught. There's like classes on.
What is it? Did you say that?
Yeah.
What kind of woman?
Institute of Basic Life Principles is like what they follow. And it's
Did they make that up?
No. Bill Gothard is like the leader of this religious group. And
they're like a type of Christian.
It is like to the extreme.
Yeah.
Extremely conservative. But yeah, there's classes on like how to change your voice and how to talk more like princess, meek and mild. They're taught that women are supposed to just be seen and not really heard. And that they don't really have too much, they don't hold any weight. Yeah.
And
How do you feel about that, Natalie?
It's crazy.
And there's obviously
wild,
a part of the book where you write about kind of having this awareness that your own father had abusive tendencies. Did that come before realizing that your aunt and uncle and cousins rather had their own skeletons in their closet? Like where'd you go from thinking your childhood was hell, but maybe normal? I think most kids who grow up in a household where there's yelling and screaming and disconnect and, you know, if you don't know anything different,
right.
you know, and even if you, maybe like when you went to your aunts and uncle's house and there's this harmony, it's just more like, well, you know, it's like really nice here and religious, but like maybe my parents just yell, like, but you had an awareness that like this isn't okay.
Yeah. I mean, I would like hide at the trampoline late at night and just like go look at the stars and be like, one day it doesn't have to be like this. There was just a lot of strife, a lot of control, a lot of fear. And IBLP, which is, you know, what I was telling you about, that group, they work out of fear. Like that's how they get, you know, people to just like bend to their will.
You talk a lot about the abusive tactics that your family used on you. Shaming, gaslighting, love bombing, all the things. Which do you feel like hit you the hardest? And like, how has that shaped how you view love today?
Since I was younger, I felt like I was I was talked to in a very condescending tone. And so I always felt like a little girl,
stupid.
you know, stupid. Like I had nothing to offer. And that played a huge role because for a while there, I was like, I am not enough. I'm too loud. I'm too boisterous. I'm not like them. And so instead of using it as like something positive, like, you know, she's going to just be a part of the show and kind of add to it. I was also viewed as crazy. My nickname was Crazy Cousin Amy. Oh, wow. And it was a nickname that I did not approve of. And it's not something that I really wanted. And yet that's what I was called.
Like everyone
knew me as that. Yeah. For over 80 episodes.
Everyone wants a nickname.
Right.
To a certain extent. And did you feel like, oh, like I'm crazy. Like it's fun. or was it a little bit of that or some shame that was part of the nickname?
Yeah. I mean, at first I was just like, I hate this. Like, I know it's going to turn into something more. And I mean, because you can view crazy as anything, right? But for me, I was like, I don't have a police record. I've never done drugs. I've never done like a one night stand. Like, why am I crazy? You know? And then I was like, okay, well, it's not going to change. No one's listening to me. So I might as well embrace it. And so I started like jumping out of plane. I started, you know, feeding a giraffe from my mouth, all the things that the producers wanted me to do. And I was just like, let's just go with it. And
like,
so
did your parents call you that too?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all. Just my cousins and all them. And it was almost like a stipulation, like, we love Amy, but she's different than us, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Back to, you know, filming the TV show. I'm obviously very familiar with how reality TV works, how it's made.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit about when people are asked to film a TV show, you realize that while it's reality TV, you know, hey, you're making a TV show. And sometimes like you need to like repeat something because they didn't get it on camera or it didn't pick up clearly on the audio. And it's just like, hey, but people have to you know, it's like there's a level of, again, we have to make a TV show. And that I think on for anyone listening or watching and who hears that, like it makes sense. Like it doesn't take away from the authenticity for the most part, knowing that like, hey, we might have to guide a scene along, so to speak. I think depending on the show, you know, there's a spectrum of like, is this really authentic or are we creating scenes? Is it inauthentic? Did you see a change in your family's behavior knowing that like they became almost caricatures of themselves, like once they're in a TV show, which I think is very common for people who do these episodic kind of documentary type of shows where you're being followed and you kind of succumb to the pressure of the audience and what people are saying about you, and you either want to lean in or lean away from certain opinions that people are saying. Like, how did you witness your aunt, uncle, and your cousin's behavior as a result of them being a part of the show?
I think that there was like a huge shift, and I realized that they didn't trust people all of a sudden. Like the house was, I mean, anyone was welcome. I mean, they would invite anyone over, 100+ people all the time. It was like a busy hotel, literally. But at the same time, they didn't trust people with like actual like information. Like they wouldn't tell like where they were going or like what kind of trip they were going on or whatever. And so, yeah, you just started noticing that there were more characters on the show than just like regular people with a big family. I mean, they definitely had different personalities and that kind of thing. And I think they played into it for sure.
You talk about the financial control that your dad kind of did. Can you tell our audience a little bit more about that?
My uncle.
It was your uncle,
did.
sorry.
Yeah. So he told all of us that 19 Kids and Counting was a ministry and that we were on the show, just to shine a light in the darkness and to be a part of this ministry and that God has called us to this. Was there any compensation? Nada.
Like
Zero.
no one.
So as far as
no
all
one.
the kids
Wow.
and you were aware, you were doing this for the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
I mean, I go into it in my book and there's a contract and there's a bunch of stuff that I talk about. But yeah, I signed a contract blindly.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Do you know how much? Do you have any idea how much money he was
I actually
making
looked
from
it up.
TLC?
I think it was like over 6 million.
Wow.
Yeah. Ministry, right?
Ministry.
Yeah.
Ministry.
Mm.
And what I've noticed also is that he loves real estate. So he's bought all kinds of houses
He's
and
investing.
land. He's an investor and he's very smart. He really is. He's a businessman and he knows how to do it. But ministry.
Was your aunt aware of any of that at all, or was she also kept out of it?
So the IBLP teaches that the men are the umbrella. So they have full control over the entire household. And then the women are really just silenced, which is terrible. But they're silenced. And so they have to go with what their husband says because they're submissive.
So were they
Submissive.
like asking for, say they're going to the grocery store? Is it like, hey, I need money to go to the grocery store? And then it's
No, I mean, I think they have money like to do that. There was definitely like a debit card and that kind of
a
thing.
joint account.
But I believe, in my opinion, he kept track of that. And he made sure that it all fell in line to what he expected of the family. And if there was ever where they went somewhere else, let's say Hooters, for example, or somewhere like that, then I personally believe that he would dock that and then something would come about it. He kept close tabs for sure.
Do you have any memory of your uncle doing anything the opposite of what he preached?
Yes. He preached all the time about how like the lying tongue is not of God and that you can't trust someone that lies. You shouldn't be around that. And honestly, like lying, and I put it in my book, that lying is like a snowball and it just gathers momentum every lie you take until it's rolling down the hill and there's no way to stop it. I literally list in my book several lies that was told to me by him.
Like what?
Oh, all kinds
Allegedly.
of things. Allegedly. No, yeah. So when Josh had his last horrible scandal and went to prison, we asked like, hey, is there any truth to this? Tell me this isn't true. And he responded with, oh, no, not at all. Homeland Security is just friends of Josh. And so they stopped by to say hi.
Friends.
Friends with
And to
with
remind my
Homeland.
audience, like what did he go to jail for?
Oh, Lord. He was found guilty of having sexual abuse material of children.
All right.
Yeah.
Terrible, terrible stuff. Low of the low. And I was told that there was no problem back in the day with the computer,
Right.
Yeah.
It all goes full circle.
Right.
It's a big full circle in this whole book. And
so
in this
they've
whole
never
situation.
accepted the fact that he did that.
I don't believe so. I think
Wow.
they're still defending him till this day.
Wow.
Yeah.
And like just through denying, like denial.
Yeah. I mean, they're just like, my son would never do that.
They got it wrong.
And they got it wrong.
It's beyond.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like so hard to comprehend.
Yeah. There was like 8 different lies, I believe, that are in the book of all the things that he told me.
Looking back, like what were some of the signs that in the moment you didn't really notice or just kind of maybe overlooked, that now looking back, you realize that this was a family that were not who they pretended to be or how they presented themselves?
It still like kills me to this day, but there was a birthday party. There was a huge celebration in their home and it was like a 7,800 square foot home. Okay. Large. And the living room was full of people. And I went to the pantry to get some napkins and I, opened the door and I heard something be like, like holding it in. And I turned on the light and bless it. One of my cousins was like holding her mouth, like where she couldn't cry out loud and having like a severe panic attack. And you could just tell something was going on. Something was. And so I reached down, I held her, forgot the napkins, whatever, and just held her and just let her know, like, I see you, you were worthy to be seen. Like, I'm here. How can I help you? And I just held her. I just held her for probably 30 minutes. And no one knew she was hurting. No one knew she was crying. And I was like, what do I do with this information? Like, oh my gosh, And so I tried my hardest to contact my uncle, talk to him, talk to my aunt, talk to anyone that would listen, because I was like, obviously, they're always happy all the time, but I think some of them allegedly were very much hurting and in a lot of pain and going through trauma that I had no idea about. But when I, asked them, like, trying to tell them what was going on, they were just like, oh, Amy, it's fine. She just had a bad day. There's nothing going on, nothing going on. And so I hate to say this, but I kind of believed them. Because it was just so convincing.
You're like, oh, she was on her period.
Yes,
She's
like,
just
oh,
emotional.
yeah, exactly, like something like that. So I was like, okay, or like maybe they're sad that like someone's getting married and moving out of the house, or because they couldn't leave the house until they got married. That's a rule.
Let me ask you this: do you like, because for example, with Josh, they have, you said, defended him to this day.
Yeah.
What does your gut or your heart tell you? Do you think deep down they know they're wrong for doing some of the things they've done, or do you believe that they are walking a noble life, or whatever you want to call it, a righteous life? Versus, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no, I
like
get
the
what you're
pastor
saying.
who like cheats on his wife,
right,
and steals money from the, it's like,
right.
he knows
like,
he's a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? And he's just using religion as a cover,
right,
and using Bible scriptures as a way to like control his victims. And then there are people who are just delusional. I don't know. Which one do you think it's more of from your point of view when you're looking at specifically your uncle?
Yeah. So in my opinion, let's just put that out there. I definitely think that he knows that he's done wrong. And I do think that, like, how can you not? How could you sleep at night knowing all the lies you've told, all the things? I mean, he's lied on like national television to everyone. And it's just like, come on, dude, like, give it up. Like, the gig is up, But he's also the type, I believe, that that wants to live in this like perfect world. And so I think he creates that. Does that make sense? Like, he's just.
Do you think he was always like that? Or
complicated.
Do you think he started the show with good intentions?
I really do. I really do believe that. I do. I think he was like, hey, this is a ministry. We're going to show like the good of people and all of that. But in my book, I also explain that I do believe that Josh went for help. He tried to talk to his parents for help, but it was when the show was going. And, why mess up a good thing if we can kind of put it under the rug and sweep it under and no one has to know.
So sad.
Yeah.
So you feel like maybe like the money and the fame kind of got to him where he started getting a little bit more and more corrupt?
I think because money does that to almost anyone if you don't keep it in check, right?
Totally.
And so if you just, all the perks that were coming in and the invites and the tickets and the this and the first class tickets and, all the things that you're invited to, reality TV isn't real, but I think it can really warp your mind. I really think it can. So I think the money became like his fascination, and then it just kept on growing and growing and growing.
Did you ever confide in your parents about what was going on at your aunt and uncle's house, and like what was their response?
I mean, yeah, but my mom was under the impression that like, oh, like they're such great people. Like, don't worry about it. Don't, whatever. So I actually ignored my like basic instincts in my heart and what was like that gut feeling that like something was off. I ignored it for as long as I could because I still wanted to be part of the family. I still loved them. And I knew if I asked questions, then, I'm considered like an outsider already, because I'm not a part of the IBLP. And so in order to like really get to know them more, you would have to be a part of what they believe, but I already wasn't. So I was already kind of like on that line. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to lose my family,
Do you think the IBLP is more of a cult than a religion?
100%. It's completely man-made, in my opinion, just man-made up rules. And they don't make sense because every man in the family, right? Let's say they've got 11 kids, and the father can decipher what happens in that household. And every household is different because the man is the leader and like thumb control.
Do you know how Jim Bob got it connected with this specific cult?
I don't. I know that IBLP started going to like different churches around the area, and it was like conferences. And I'm sure it looked really good because the way that my uncle and my mom grew up was a lot of yelling, a lot of fighting, a lot of turmoil. And so I think he was probably, in my opinion, looking for structure, looking for some way to like raise his family in the right way. And so I think it looked golden and looked happy and it looked inviting. And it's something that he was like, oh, like this is going to be a really great thing for my family. And then it's just really crazy how it turns into it because the men are not held accountable. So anything is possible and anything can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talk about, and you said right here that your childhood was hell. Did you feel loved and cared for as a child?
There were times that I did. But then again, my mom and my dad, they didn't get married till like I was senior of high school. So they had a really like a roller coaster relationship, ups and downs, all arounds, the whole thing. And so when things were going great, things were great. But when things weren't, then it was just kind of like I was kind of like an afterthought. Yeah.
And is this, your parents got divorced the same year you got married? Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
How is that for you mentally?
I mean, honestly, I was excited for them, honestly, to divorce. It was to the point that my mom's life was probably going to be in danger, in my opinion. Allegedly. It was getting really bad and just scary. And so my mom now lives with us.
Oh, wow.
And so
Do you have any relationship with your father?
I do not. I haven't talked to him in a really long time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What made you feel scared for her?
Things that he would say. He would pace the floor. He would say, like, I don't know what I'm going to do with you. He had all kinds of threats that he would say just randomly out of nowhere. We'd be just sitting at the movies or like sitting in the living room and he would just get up and just start like getting angry. And you're like, oh my gosh, what are you going to do? Like it was just, you just never knew. You never knew.
Did he ever hit you, your mom?
He didn't, thank goodness. But I mean, emotional abuse is a big deal. And I felt like he punched me several times, even when he didn't.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people out there who experience emotional abuse, and you write about this in your book, but at times it kind of feels like family quirks or like maybe this is just our way of doing things. For the people listening who might be experiencing a type of emotional abuse, how did your like internal dialogue go from allowing you to realize that these weren't just family quirks, but they were actually signs of emotional abuse?
It's a good question. I think that movie, The Truman Show, when he's floating, everything's great, happy-go-lucky, and then he hits a wall. I hit that same wall. And I just was like, there is a life that I've always wanted that I'm not going to get with having these kind of people in my life and surrounding me in my inner circle. And so I just started noticing. I started taking in like just their behavior, the way they talk, the way that what they say, how they belittle, all the things that they do that are like little punches, little jabs for no reason at all. And why am I judged? Why am I, being unfairly labeled? All the things. And I was like, I don't need this in my life. I would start feeling really like chaotic, like inside, jittery, just mad for no reason. And you can just tell like you can do things differently. And so I just was like, I'm done. I'm just so done. And I did. I literally drove in my car one day. I wasn't getting any answers about Josh and like all the things that's gone on. And I was like, I need answers. And why is truth so hard to find in this freaking family? And I drove to their house and I was like on a mission, let me tell you. And I confronted him. It's in the book.
Josh.
Yeah.
Can you tease a little bit about what that conversation was like?
I can tease. I asked him point blank, and not to go, too much information, but I asked him point blank why he didn't touch me, why I was not a target.
What made you want to ask that?
Because he had touched his sisters, and that was like his first huge, terrible scandal. And so, yeah, it was after that I was like, I'm gonna find some answers, and I'll be damned if I don't get them.
Did you leave with answers?
I did. And I left feeling like a superhero. Just felt like I did everything I could. You know, I'm not this crazy, wild, crazy cousin Amy that everybody knows, but like I have a moral compass and I'm not the person that I've been portrayed all these years.
You almost sound like you have a little bit of grace for Josh.
I kind of do in a way, a very small amount. And let me just tell you why. I feel like he did try to get help. I feel like he did say like, hey, I have a problem. Someone help me. And no one came to his rescue.
Obviously, we're not doctors. Neither of us are there's no therapist in this room. But do you have, or maybe you're aware through, you know, people who have spoken out or about your family, but usually when it comes to this type of abuse, often abusers were once victims of abuse. Do you have any insight to or ideas of why you think your cousin Josh became the abuser that he is?
I think it just it was unchecked. No one, got him the help. They don't believe, IBLP doesn't
But where do you
believe
think
in
it came
counseling.
from? You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like
yeah,
I've never
like-
had, like
for
some of his
sure.
actions are very disgusting and
they're
very just
horrible.
hard to really
Right.
even comprehend.
I don't know
So-
where it began. I don't know who maybe allegedly abused anyone.
Do you have any suspicions that it happened or that there was that type of abuse in that family?
Yeah, I think there has to be someone somewhere that did something to where it began, but I have no idea who. And they went to like family camps and conferences. And there was people all around. Like I said, there were always people in the house. And I don't know who it was. I have no idea.
I mean, like, listen, like kids finding porn is not that uncommon of a thing.
True.
You know, porn wasn't as prevalent as it is now, but when I was a kid, I had some friends whose dads had like a Playboy hidden in their drawer and their kids found out
Right.
about it. And
Right.
we would sneak away and go see it and things like that. And so for you to find your cousin Josh's laptop and find a folder, and at the time you discovered this pornographic material, none of which was the type of
No.
content that he later seemed to get into that is obviously disgusting and illegal. But for you to like go to his parents, like for them to be in denial about that, something that, again, most parents are faced with their kid coming across some pornographic material.
Right.
And maybe even consuming it to a level that it's like, hey, like this is too much, Like it obviously shows that these were kind of parents that lived in denial. So yeah, it's like I know what it's like to be in a large family. My parents were always had a good pulse on what all their kids were doing.
That's so good.
But yeah, I am trying to comprehend what 19 would be like.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, it's crazy. They had special quality time with their parents on their birthdays. Like one-on-one. But I mean, as far as I saw.
Were they kind of on their own in a way?
I mean, yeah, they wandered. They had like lots of land. So, I mean, they played chess, they played ball, they, went with their dad at their car a lot.
Did the older ones also kind of parent the younger ones?
Yeah,
So
they
there
had
was,
a
like,
buddy
multiple-
system.
Yeah.
They had a buddy system. So they had 2 or 3 younger ones that the older ones watched.
Are any of your cousins close with your aunt and uncle still to this day?
Yeah, so they all spend quality time, holidays, everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're all
What
still
is your
very
opinion
close.
of them today?
Oh gosh. My opinion of them is that I find it to be a very unhealthy family toxic pattern. That's just going to continue and continue and continue.
Is it hard for you to be close with Jill? Like, is there any of that kind of like, what are you doing? How can you not see this? Or is it kind of like, you know what? You're an adult. I'm an adult. You do your thing. I'm here. I love you.
So Jill has done a lot of counseling, and I'm not going to really speak for her, but I will tell you she's done a lot of counseling. So she's healed from a lot. And I will tell you that she's a strong girl. So she loves her brothers and sisters. She loves her mom. I think it's kind of difficult at times to be over there, but she limits her time.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, there's no animosity or anything like that between Jill and I at all. It's just more of like, hey, that's your decision. But I realize that's like your immediate family. It's not really mine. So I don't have to invite that back into my life.
Right.
On that show, I'm always reminding my audience that the word gaslighting is often watered down or misused. someone who's being a little manipulative doesn't necessarily mean they're gaslighting, or a couple that's fighting
Right.
doesn't mean someone's gaslighting the other person. But in your case, it really seems like real gaslighting was happening.
Yeah.
Is there any time where your anxiety was at a point where you truly questioned your own reality? And can you describe what that situation was like?
Yeah, I can tell you, I tried over and over and over to have a relationship with my dad. And I threw a big like Hail Mary and I invited him to counseling. And we were in the counseling studio area for like 5 hours, like a long time. And in that time, I told him everything, how I felt, how he made me feel. I apologized. He apologized. Everything was great. And it was like one of the heartbreaking things that's in my book. But the next morning, I remember calling him and being like, thank you so much for going with me to counseling and working through things. And he went ballistic, you guys, and was like, what are you talking about? I never was there. And I was like, and in my mind, I was like, he literally made me feel like I was crazy and that like I dreamt it up. And so I was like, wait a second. And he was like, if I was there and I went to counseling with you, where are the notes, Amy? Where are the notes? Where are my notes? Like, I never went. You're psycho. You've lost your mind. Like all these things. And I was like, I don't have any notes. You really, really had to. It sounds crazy how someone can do that, but they really did have they can have a power over you. And it's wild.
I have to say, I had some trauma happen to me as a child, and I feel like having my own daughter has been very healing for me.
Yes.
Has that kind of been healing for you as well, and being able to parent in a way that you want to parent and you wish you were parented?
Yes. No, parenting is like my favorite thing on the planet. I have a 5-year-old, like I was telling you earlier, Natalie. He has a mullet. He does his own thing. He's like an old soul and like loves like old classic rock. And like, I love molding him and teaching him about, just self-control and the goodness of like people and how to be genuine and kind and honest.
Yeah.
The things that are going to make him just a great man someday.
What is the relationship like between your mom and him, your son?
So yeah, our Nana lives with us. And so they are best friends. They're at Chuck E. Cheese right now, just living it up. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They have the best time. They really do. And it really is like full circle because it has like a healing journey. And my mom's journey is she's safe and she's fine. And she's so much healthier now than she ever has been. And so to see that is just, it's everything my heart could ever want.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Have any of your cousins to this day received any financial compensation for being on the show?
Not that I know of.
Crazy. And do you know how any of them feel about that?
Nope. So IBLP teaches that you are happy, smiling all the time, and that other emotions are not of God. So you cannot ask questions. You can't, be annoyed, worry, anxious, nothing.
Have none of the 19 kids like broken away from? So
Ginger is in LA, and living her life. And I think she's gotten away from it probably a little bit. Jill has, but there's only 2 daughters that really have.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest are
locked in.
If you ask me, probably still real thick in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fall is here, and with it comes the back-to-school rush, early morning drop-offs, after-school activities, football games, and those last-minute supply runs. And let's not forget the extra tips for groceries, coffees, and gas as the days get busier. All of that adds up fast. With the free Upside app, there's an easy way to earn real cash back every time you fill up your tank, grab a bite to eat, or stock up on essentials. Whether you're driving across town for a soccer game or picking up snacks for the school lunchbox, Upside helps you keep more in your pocket. In fact, Upside has given back $1 billion to its users. The free Upside app gives you cash back on daily essentials like gas, groceries, and dinings. There are over 100,000 gas stations, grocery stores, and restaurants on the Upside app, ensuring the cash back is always just around the corner. Listen, it's girl math, like you're getting cash back. It's what everyone wants. And yes, it's real cash. No confusing rewards, points, or credits. Just actual money you can transfer straight to your bank account. I mean, you're going to fill up your tank and you're going to buy groceries anyway, so you might as well get cash back while doing all of those things. Upside has given back $1 billion to its users. To find out how much you could earn, download the free Upside app and use promo code VIALL to get an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas. That's an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas using promo code VIALL. Second chances are for your closet, not your ex. Whether it's the quiet luxury piece you bought before remembering you're actually a maximalist, or those flats you never quite broke in, the best place to give them a second chance is The Real Real. I'm so excited to share that this podcast is sponsored by The Real Real, the best place to shop and sell authenticated luxury bags, clothing, watches, and so much more. I can't tell you how much. This is my free time. I spend my free time scrolling The Real Real because it is so good. I find so many unique, cool, vintage pieces. I got my mom this really great Chanel bag at a really great price. And it's something that she'll cherish forever. It's something that I'll cherish forever. Whatever it is, consigning with The Real Real is the best way to let go of something that's no longer you and get paid for it. So if you need more closet space, don't stop shopping, start selling, and make room for pieces that actually feel like you. The Real Real is the easiest and fastest way to sell with over 40 million members ready to shop your closet. They use real-time data to determine the highest possible price for every item and handle all the work for you, from photography and copywriting to shipping and customer service, because your to-do list is already long enough. The Real Real is an attainable luxury that upgrades your personal style with up to 90% off retail. You can finally have the pieces you've been dreaming of from brands like Gucci, Fendi, Prada. Unlike other resale sites, everything The Real Real sells is authenticated in person by luxury and fashion experts. The Real Real is the world's largest and most trusted resource for authenticated luxury resale, with thousands of new arrivals daily. No one does resale like The Real Real, and this month you can get an extra $100 site credit when you sell for the first time. Go to therealreal.com/files to get your extra $100. That's therealreal.com/files. That's therealreal.com/files.
That first year in a new home can teach you quickly that home system and appliance breakdowns happen, and they're expensive. Homeowners often deal with at least one, and fixing something like an AC or water heater can cost thousands. American Home Shield can help protect your wallet from unexpected expenses. When major systems and appliances break down, if they can't repair your covered item, they'll replace it no matter the age. For new homeowners especially, it's one of the simplest ways to keep your budget on track and your stress down. Visit ahs.com/Viall Files for 20% off any plan today and see promo details. That's ahs.com/Viall Files for 20% off. See ahs.com/contracts for coverage details, including service fees, limitations, and exclusions.
How did you meet your husband?
Oh my gosh, at a bar.
Love.
I said love at first sight. No, actually, he was a complete jerk. I'm not kidding. Is when ruffles were really in style way back in the day, and I had I had peacock earrings on, the feather earrings, and a ruffle shirt. And he was like, oh my gosh, he was a friend of a friend, so I didn't know him, but I kind of knew he was around, and he was just like, what the hell are you wearing? Is how he started the conversation.
What did you say? Were you
I was just okay, here's a guy that's totally honest. I was like, do I look bad? And he was like, I mean, kinda. I can't tell what the heck's going on. And I was like, okay, that's kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
So we just became friends for 6 years and best friends. Oh gosh, 24.
So you were filming the show?
No, not 24. 22.
Were you on the show?
Like that. I was, yes. Yeah. And he had no idea who I was. No idea. He had no clue. He was like, I don't know.
How did you bring it up?
Oh my gosh. Okay, this is funny. I told him, I was just like, yeah. He's like, what do you do? And I'm like, well, it's a long story. I was like, on this TV show. And he's like, what? That's crazy. And so I actually invited him to my cousin's house, and I didn't give him any rules. He's a very no filter kind of guy. You guys would love him. You guys would get along so well. But he walks in, and he's talking to the boys about cars and engines and stuff. And like I said, I didn't give him any rules. And so the color black is very wrong in their eyes. It's a very a devilish color.
That you can't wear it?
It's right. Yeah. I'm a walking sin right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm a problem.
Is this you being rebellious?
I mean,
she's wearing all
inwardly.
black.
I didn't even realize I did that, but yes, I will take it. But
really?
Yeah,
what about a funeral?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think at funeral it's navy blue is what they wear.
Okay.
But
just
they don't
pop of color.
Yeah, yeah, just a little bit of something. Yeah. But yeah, it's not really.
Did he wear black?
Not really. No, but so one of the little girls, and they all start with J's, but one of the little girls was like, Dylan, so innocent and so sweet, was like, what's your favorite color? And he was like, black. And they were like, and they just stopped in their tracks, and they were like, And they already think like
Scared,
I'm wild and crazy and all these things. And now Dylan likes the color black. And I remember kicking him underneath the seat, like underneath the table, like, shut up. And he was just like, what? The color black is sexy. The color black is sexy. Like, I was like, I literally cannot like handle it. And so from that on, like, they just were like, Dylan is over there. Like, yeah.
Did they welcome him back to their house with open arms?
Well,
or?
I mean, I think maybe a couple times, but it was different. Like, they wouldn't allow us to really have more than like surface level conversations. And then after we actually got married, then it was the scandals that came out. So it's like they barely knew him because then we just completely separated ourselves completely from it.
Is your maiden name Duggar?
Mm-hmm.
And is that because you have no relationship with your father? Because it's your mom who's sisters with Jimbo.
Right. Yeah. That's my maiden name. It's just Duggar. I just had my mom's maiden name. And so
because they weren't married.
Because they weren't married.
So you took your
people think that like I changed my name for fame or that I like want to ride that like coattail. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like,
well, it's funny because the reason I wanted to bring it up is almost the opposite. Again, like my family's overall for having 13 people, we're a close family.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm closer with sub-siblings than others. As a whole, we're generally pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
We're all very different in a lot of ways. I have siblings who are on the complete polar opposites of the political spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
It's always funny when people in the public eye, well, it's like, well, their sister or brother said this, and as if like they must be one and the same,
right?
You know, and just because you're in the same family, you can be very different people.
Yes.
You know, as close as my family is, I go months, not talking to some of my siblings. I don't know what they're doing.
Right.
I don't know what they're getting into.
Right.
I don't know if someone's like being radicalized by whatever the shit's going on the internet. Like, what if one of my siblings did some crazy, horrible shit? I don't think they would. I mean, just for anyone listening, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you never know. And so my question to you is like having the Duggar name, knowing that it is now in many people's eyes attached to some very terrible things. One being your cousin Josh.
Yes.
Have you ever thought of just like not wanting that attached to your name? Or do you feel like people treat you in a way where it's like if they find out you're a Duggar, where it's just like you almost feel the judgment that they would pass on to that family?
No, okay, good question. I think because my name is Duggar, I'm not changing it. I mean, that's just who I am. But at the same time, I have been very outspoken from the very beginning, from the moment that scandals started happening and things like that. And so the whole book is about how disruption in a family pattern, any kind of healthy or any unhealthy relationships, you have to like change that, right? And so I mean, that's my goal and prayer is that the people that read this book can just like you put it in their own lives. Like, just embrace the fact that like your family might be crazy or what you're around is pretty terrible, but you can put things in order and put your life back on the peace track,
Yeah.
Yeah. You're still you consider yourself a religious person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious is how were you able to maintain a relationship with God and have a strong religious foundation? Because a lot of people in your position, people who experience a religious trauma of some kind, often have a very negative opinion about religion and a very negative connotation with it. But that's not something that's happened to you. And yet you speak in your book about how your faith has allowed you, on this healing journey, and you've really leaned on that.
Yeah.
Despite some of the religious trauma that you've witnessed and experienced.
Yeah. So I believe that like in the Bible, literally it says God is not the author of confusion. And when I think about all the craziness that's gone on in this world and then the things that's gone on in like my family, the things that I've had to heal from and learn from and all of that, there's confusion everywhere I look, right? There's just all of that. So you have to disrupt it. You do. And so I just have this whole like filter now in my life where if like whoever I'm around, whatever I watch, whatever music I listen to, whatever, does it bring me peace? And that's just my question. And even if you're not religious, like, like you, whatever, you can still ask like, okay, you probably still want a peaceful life, right?
Yeah.
Like you still want like, you don't want chaos, Right. And so for me, I just take that in and that's just what I think of every second of the day. It's just like, does it bring me peace? And like, what kind of direction can I take from here to be a better person?
You've talked about how your relationship with your husband is something that you've leaned on, to get through all this. How have you and your husband formed a positive relationship and healthy relationship given your background and your upbringing?
I don't think it has anything to do with it. The way we respect each other, the way we have mutual like care. And I like genuinely love him like with every being of my body. We've been married for 10 years and he drives me crazy and he's a mess sometimes and he drives me out of my mind. But he's like my best friend. He's the rock. He's the one I can like cry to and just be myself with 100%. And so I don't think it mattered what my last name would be. I think we would probably still find love with each other and be happy.
You talk a lot about gentle parenting. Well, tell me about it because, I'm not all that familiar with it. And you talk about it as a way kind of almost to rebel against your childhood.
Right.
Because you came from a very kind of authoritative upbringing. I have my doubts about gentle parenting. For me, I grew up in a very religious household. I'm not religious today. I respect my upbringing and I'm very grateful of the upbringing I had. And I do very much think it's important, to honor my parents, respect my parents. And I had a level of respect for adults and authority. And I think that has really allowed me to honestly like have the success I've had and things like that. And when I hear about gentle parenting, I feel like it includes a lack of like respect for authority and adults. And
well, what would you do in Little River? Like, how do you discipline?
Well, she's only a year and a half, so she's
True.
But
So
I will say, it's like
right.
funny enough that like before we had River, we would always joke about who's going to be the tough cop and who was going to be the nice one.
Yeah.
And now you'd always say that I would be a softie, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to be.
You're going to be the one.
The one. Her and River have such a bond, and there's such a connection there.
Yeah.
And I just really don't want to have spoiled children.
No, I get that.
And I really want my kids to have a level of respect for authority and adults. And I do think a big part of childhood is working through adversity and being challenged and going through hard times, and I think as parents, especially privileged parents, we're very lucky and very privileged. Sometimes some of the things I had to go through as a child is because my parents were like, we can't afford that shit.
Right. Yeah.
They had,
Yeah. Kids now are like,
yeah.
They
if
are
we wanted
so
to,
blessed.
We're lucky enough to, we could give our daughter anything.
I hear you.
So we have to choose to say no, and things like that. So back to gentle parenting. Well, for the skeptics out there, how have you incorporated it in a way that you feel is positive?
Oh my goodness. Okay, there's lots of things. So we don't believe in spanking. Spanking is something that I will not tolerate. I told Dylan, I was like, I love you. If you cheat, I'm out. And if you spank, I'm out. Like, I can't do it because it's still hitting. You're still hitting a child. I think that's crazy. And so sad. But yeah, I just feel like I just get down on their level, like when Dax, does anything wrong, I'm just like, hey buddy, like, listen, like I've never been a mom before. I've never like had a 5-year-old before. Let's like work together as a team and like, let's figure this out. So if you need a break, like just have a seat, whatever, relax. And so I feel like talking really like, he's like, oh, I understand. Like, I don't have to yell. I don't have to like pretend that I'm this princess or that I've got everything figured out because he's only 5. So ask me this when he's 12 and when he's 20.
Do you feel like, I think there's a, and again, a lot of times we criticize things we don't fully understand. So I'll recognize that like I haven't spent a lot of time studying gentle parenting tactics. I think there's a perception out there that parents who gentle parent negotiate with their children rather than at times being like, my dad's favorite line was, because I said so. And
cringe.
Well, I honestly think
is that you think so?
Well, I think, I really do.
Okay.
I think children need to know that their parents are in charge.
Right.
And
Well, for
there's
sure.
a level of respect and authority they have to have. And I think if you don't respect your parents, how can you possibly, in the real world, respect your boss or your elders, or think people who don't care, like who don't love you like we love our
Right.
children,
Right.
you know, who at the end of the day don't have a difficult, you know, will have a difficult time, you know, punishing our children because we love them
Right.
and we don't want to see them sad or cry, but you know, deep down we know what's good for them.
Right.
The world's not going to give a shit, you
Right.
know? And I do think that is important to a certain degree, where life doesn't always have to explain to you like why the world is the way it is.
I think because my cousins are like, in my opinion, they blindly follow.
Sure.
They do. And it led them to abuse. It led them in a wrong way. For me, I don't want my son just to obey because I say so. I want him to ask questions. I literally tell him like, hey, buddy, if I ask you to do something and you don't understand it, ask me why. I am fine with explaining.
It is so crazy how, and I see it with River, and she's only 19 months old, but like we'll be walking and, you know, in the parking lot into a store and she wants to get down and it's like, and I'll be like, no. And she's, and then I'm like, wait, look at all the cars. Look how many cars there are. It's dangerous. You can't get down. And then she's like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
It's like, once you explain why they can't do something, why you're saying no, then they understand. And they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It's not just because you don't want me to.
Yes, no, exactly. I also explained to Dax also, I'm like, hey, buddy, I'm never, mom and dad and Nana, people that are in your circle, the people that love you the most, will never ask you to do something that's going to hurt you or put you in like harm's way ever.
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay. So I'm like, but I tell him, I'm like, if you want to know why, like you have to go clean your room, I'll tell you why. Like you can ask. And I'm like very open and upfront with them, because when I was little, I couldn't ask why. And I would just do things and being yelled at or, you know, being like, annoying and be like, oh, just because I said so. And I'd be like, okay, so I still respect. I want him to respect for sure. I want him to like know authority and all of that, but he can ask why.
Yeah. Well, what happens after they ask why? You explain why.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's say like 6 months go by, you tell them what to do. You've already explained why.
Right.
And then they go, well, why do I have to do that? Do you explain it again?
I do. I know that sounds crazy probably, but like, yes, I think you can do it in like a strict way of just be like, I've already told you, you have, and I always tell them, you have a choice. You don't have to obey, and there's consequences. I take away a toy. You don't get to have a play date. Like there's always something that can come up, or you can choose the right way and you can obey and make this really easy.
Makes sense.
And so, yeah, there's like 2 different ways to do it. I mean, yeah, I've seen a lot of like strictness, harshness growing up. And so I just didn't want that to continue in the generation to come for him.
And that makes a lot of sense. And I think for me, there's a balance to everything,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And totally get a lot what you were saying. I guess just to play devil's advocate with you, because you've kind of acknowledged part of this comes from a level of rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you, when you're parenting your own child, or for all the parents out there who are listening to you and really connect with what you're saying, because maybe they're parenting, you know, often, right? Like your parent's an alcoholic. Sometimes you become alcoholic, or sometimes you never touch a drink. You know, it's like usually one or the other, right? You either end up becoming who your parents are if it's extreme, or you very much are against it in a way, you know, type of thing. So how do you challenge yourself, acknowledging that you've had your own trauma, that you are parenting not just because you're projecting what's happened to you, knowing that maybe, you know, your child's lucky enough to not have experienced what you experienced, and they have that love that you're giving them. So how do you make sure that it's not a projection of your own trauma rather than just like what's right for them?
You ask hard questions. He's so good at what he does. He's so good. This is why people watch and follow you. That's a good question. Okay. Before I took time before I was pregnant to really educate myself and to really make sure that like why I wanted to be a parent is for the right reasons. Right. And so I've done the healing. I know the trauma that can happen, you know, and like the ways around it and the way to protect my child. And now I just am like the mama bear that's going to do it at all costs. And I think it starts at home. I think it really does. Just how we treat them, how they're respected, you know, how they take care of things will continue in this world as they get older. So I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at.
What's your mom's opinion of her brother?
So there's a lot in my book about why their relationship is frayed and why she doesn't necessarily trust him anymore.
Okay. Can you elaborate a little bit more? Just like, what's her general opinion? Does she think he's a good guy?
In my opinion, I would think that my mom would probably say no. She's been very hurt by him.
In your opinion, do you think, if I said your uncle sounds like a monster?
In my opinion, I would think that you probably are not far off from that.
If I said, do you think your aunt is equally to blame for what's happened with her family? Or do you give her grace given the extreme ways in which women are expected to operate in this alleged cult?
I would give my aunt some grace because I do feel like she doesn't have a voice. I really, truly believe that.
And are they still a part of this?
They won't probably say it out loud, but more than likely, yes.
When you hang out with Jill, what does Jill think of you writing this book, first of all?
She's 100% supportive of it.
Okay.
She's excited for it.
And when you get together with her at this point, is it just like, let's not talk about that, let's focus on our kids and what's in front of us? Or do you still push back at times when it comes to her connection with her family?
I don't push back because I know that, like, having your brothers and sisters is important. I didn't have any. So I'm sure it's important. It's that connection that they still want to have. I think she's very careful on how she has those relationships. But no, we have a good time. Like she has 3 boys. I have an only child. I love one, by the way. Oh my word, it's the best. And so when they all get together, I think we just focus on like quality time now. Because back then we had relationship, we had a quality time, but it was surface level only. How is the weather? I like your jean skirt, all that kind of stuff. And so it wasn't really, we couldn't ask deep, hard topics. We have before. We've gotten very deep. She's told me things that I will not repeat. And yeah, we just have that trust and bond.
Do you feel like that family has secrets that have not been revealed?
Oh,
that are either illegal or people like that need to get out for the sake of others?
I believe that it is a breeding ground for all kinds of crimes. I think that they're not just in my family's house, nothing like that, but just IBLP as a whole. I just don't think it's healthy in any kind of way. And so, yeah, I believe that in hopefully 5, 10, 20 years, someone else will come forward being a holy disruptor and sharing their story.
Has Jim Bob ever been investigated by any authorities?
Not that I know of.
Do you feel like he should be?
I do, in my opinion, believe that there could be some things that he could definitely be probably looked at for.
Wow. I'm assuming you wouldn't feel comfortable with any of your cousins other than
Jill
babysitting your child?
No, I don't think that would ever happen.
Would you let Jill?
Yes, Jill has.
Okay.
Jill and her family are wonderful. So yeah, they've watched Dax and they get along great, and I trust her 100%. As far as anyone else watching my child, that is a big no.
How do you feel like? How many of your cousins are married?
Oh gosh, like half of them at least.
And did they all meet their spouses through this church, or like how were they able to integrate this very extreme religion into these people's lives?
Yeah, so they believe that like the dads are kind of like the secret agents. They go out and like find the women or the daughters, and the dads get together and then are like, oh, I've got a daughter, I've got a son, or I've got a son, I've got whatever.
Like arranged
and it's like
marriages.
kind of like arranged marriages.
Wow.
And then they
So
court.
they many of your cousins are married to people they've been arranged with?
I mean, to an extent, it's like he like sets them up, and then whatever happens, but it's courtship. So you can't kiss until you're married. Can you imagine that?
No.
I can't imagine about her setting up with anyone.
No.
Right? No, exactly.
Like, ew.
Yeah.
No, I'd be like, I don't think so. He asked, my uncle asked if he could set up for me when I was like 19, and I was like, no. And I told him, I was like, I don't want a vanilla cupcake. Like, I need someone who's lived some life that can like push back and like tell me no. And I found it in the one that made fun of me.
Because like Jim Deb he allegedly doesn't believe in TV, correct?
Yeah. So the TV world is sinful and evil and
Like movies and
movies and nothing.
Pop culture in general.
Music in general. If there's an offbeat, any kind of offbeat is considered like demonic.
And how many of your cousins do you feel like watch TV, movies, and listen to music?
Probably like
all of them.
No, no,
Really?
no. They are very obedient, like very obedient. I remember.
You really think they all are and not pretending to be?
No, I really think.
You don't think some of them, all of them, at least have like one vice?
I mean, I don't think them like secretly watching The Bachelor. Like I don't think they're doing that because they don't have TV. They don't have anything like that. Now, I'm not saying the ones that moved out, they might, who knows. But I remember when they came to my house one time and they were watching their own show at my house and
they watched their own show.
They watched their own show. They were allowed to watch their own show. And everyone was in the living room, everyone on the ground, everyone just hanging out and one big family. And everyone was talking so much that we forgot that there was a commercial that was shown, and it was a body wash commercial.
Oh boy.
Oh my gosh, you would have thought like something terrible has happened. The little girl started crying. We had to put a sheet over the TV during commercials.
How do they go out into the real world?
Okay.
Billboards.
Good question. Yeah. So yeah, it's right. When you think about it, like or a mall, they refuse to go to malls. They would go to the beach at night to not see nakedness, which is bathing suits and all the things. Mm-hmm. They also had a secret word called Nike, like the shoes. And anytime that there was anything that was ungodly, disruptive, anything that was really bad for their eyes, the oldest daughters
yell Nike and they would go Nike
eyes. And it was like an army. They would go like straight down, and they were not allowed to look up until given the clear. That's no lie. And that happened everywhere. Airports.
Did this happen on the show?
Probably. Okay. Probably so. You need to look up Nike. I'm telling you. The Nike word. Yeah, it happened everywhere. Everywhere. It didn't matter what it was.
Did any of them ever come to you curious about a life outside of?
Yes. I taught the girls
the secular world.
Yes, yeah. They would see like little like I don't know, like little glimpses like at Walmart with like the TV shows, like movies are playing, on the TVs, and they'd be like, "Amy, what show is that? What is that?" And then I would teach the girls like secret cheerleading on trampolines, trying to like introduce them to like the real world outside of what they've known. I was the one that bought them their first hair straightener because they weren't allowed to like cut their hair or anything, and I was like, okay. And so my uncle finally allowed that. It was just crazy. I was a normal girl and yet they couldn't do half the things that I did.
Wild.
I know.
So wild.
It is wild.
What about food? Were there any like weird rules around food?
No, they could have anything, and they ate like junk food and like not the greatest quality of food for sure.
They couldn't go to Taco Bell, but they could eat Taco Bell.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. They liked ramen noodles a lot. Because it was cheap. Yeah. They had a lot of kids. I'm sure, growing up, did you have any ramen noodles?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So there was 19 kids. So like that was 99 easy. Cents. Yeah.
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 Do you ever, so many people who are victims of any type of abuse, obviously there's always this period where they're in denial. They're hiding it from the outside world. And then many victims feel a sense of guilt once they come out and come clean and are honest with themselves or just start to heal, especially if there's other victims included. Did you ever experience that in terms of like once you finally like had the epiphany of what you were really experiencing, and then of feeling any type of shame and guilt unfairly, and how did you work through that?
Yeah, I absolutely kind of like took it all in, and I was like, is it really that bad? Like, are you sure I can't just like forgive and move on and like invite them back and like have Christmas with them and birthdays and the things that I'm missing? I was like, do I really have to do that? And then I had to think about my son and how abuse isn't a word in their dictionary. It's not something that's defined in the IBLP. They don't know what the word abuse means. They have no idea. And so the fact I always just put myself and my son in that kind of area and with those kind of people. And I think like, I'm not going to put him near harm. Like I refuse. I will do everything in my power not to do that. And it stops me every single time from like reaching out or trying to just, condone the behavior or like get rid of the lies and just forget about them and move on and just pretend like everything's happy and shiny. Yeah. But at this point, I'm done pretending, you know?
Good for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Do you think
Thank you.
any people in the family will try to get back on TV?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. I don't know if it would happen, but
Well, TV.
Do you
they love a
think
second
they
chance.
love, yes, they do.
Do you think they feel a certain way that they've pretty much lost all respect from anyone? I feel like the nation kind of sees through the Duggar family at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think pride goes before a fall, and I think they definitely took a pretty large fall. But I have no idea how they feel. I mean, I haven't
Right.
spoken to them in years. So I'm just looking at it now from like an outside opinion. But I found out all about the scandals like through national television.
I was about to say, if you're like scrolling on Instagram and like
I saw a magazine just in the aisle, at the store, and I like looked, like zeroed in on it, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's my family's house. Like, what is
Crazy.
happening?
Other than Josh's crimes,
Mhm.
what are the other things that have come out about them?
I mean, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
But it was just the fact of like the girls weren't protected.
Right.
Do you feel like they were like like nowadays you have influencers and parent influencers?
Mhm.
Natalie and I have our own conversations. When River was born, we were these like very excited parents, and we
Yes.
have this platform, and we were showing her face and things like that, and we influence at times or whatever, and
Mhm.
we try to have our own boundaries and rules with what we want to do, and certainly everyone has their opinion.
Right.
But knowing full well, like I know, everyone, if you look, anyone who looks for their phone,
Mhm.
especially if you're any type of influencer or have like a social following, the world of we're in a selfie age, and
We are.
if you're very honest with what your photo looks like, you might have like 20 selfies before you post the one that you like.
Right.
And when you think about that, and you see these parent influencers out there, and people who are showing their kids on any type of public platform, knowing you're talking about like, just again, there's it might be a reality TV show, but like you might have to repeat things and do things over. What is your opinion about what you see out there, and parent influencers who, like, it's just like there's certain things I'll see and I'll be like, I know that kid had to do that 50 times before they got it right.
Yeah.
Where kids are repeating lines and doing bits.
Yeah.
Lip syncing.
Yeah.
Lip syncing.
I've seen that. I don't like it.
And
I don't
that
like
these parents are monetizing it. And even if they are setting up some kind of college fund for their kids, it's just like it feels a really icky to do.
Mhm.
Yeah, what do you think about all that?
So Daxton models for Sam's Club. He's like a part of the
yeah.
modeling world. It's kind of crazy, but I tell him like, hey, this is up to you. If you want to do
Yeah.
it, great. If not, we can stop anytime. It's all up to you. And he's like, okay, no, I like it. I like having a job.
Yeah.
And so we actually like have that money for his college and whatever he would like to do when he gets older. And that money's not being spent, not one dime.
Yeah.
So, which is great. But yeah, as far as like Instagram and all of that, I am so conflicted because I obviously want to show him because he's my son and I'm
Yeah, it's
proud.
tough.
And
Yeah.
then I also want to keep him safe. And I have to go. It's hard to believe that there's like sick monsters out there that want to look at our kids in a really sick way.
Yeah, it's
I think
tough.
there's like whatever you post of your child, like that's someone's interest,
Right.
and it's like you scroll on TikTok and you see these videos and you see the amount of like saves that a video of like a kid has. And it's
Yeah.
like that just can't be
Yeah, it's
That
like-
can't be good.
It
That
can't be
can't
like-
we would run into people in public and they'd be like, I recognized River. And we were like, okay.
Okay.
all right.
Yeah.
Like,
So
do
we
you
stopped,
guys do you guys put a heart on her face
we started
now?
recently. We would, we
it's
only post
usually
the back
just
of
the
her
back of her head, or I
you know,
zoom in a lot on photos
That's
and like
smart.
we'll just
Yeah.
crop her head out of it.
We've been talking about that. We don't want to keep Daxton in a bubble. We don't want him to like live in a bubble, but it is our our job to protect.
It's tough, right? Because
It's
it's not
so
to criticize anyone who's not covering.
Yeah, well, I'm
their
not at the
kids,
moment.
Yeah.
But it's like it's a and there's so many times we'll take a video or a photo of her and we want to share it. You want to share it because it's so cute.
And then I
fun.
will get, when I do post a photo of the back of her head or whatever, I'll get a couple of messages being like, I miss seeing her sweet face. And I'm like,
it's like, well, that's not helping.
Well, that's,
yeah, I'm like, you shouldn't miss seeing my child. Like,
right.
Sorry, that just like validates.
You know what's crazy?
And I bet 99% of them are
great.
well-intentioned, lovely people, but there is a level of discomfort because I definitely, I'm a child of the 80s and all the predators are online. They're not in the streets. And it's what's crazy is nowadays, like, you don't ever hear about parents letting their kids like ride their bike a few miles to their friend's house.
Never.
And I did that as a kid.
Oh,
and
it's
we were
changed
fine.
completely.
And
I did too.
I like to think
I was
let
outside.
River do that, and then I'm like,
yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. So before I wrote this book, Daxton had his own Instagram because he modeled, he did stuff. I posted it. I will tell you, he had like 65,000 followers. And I thought like, oh, that's really cute. That's fun. And then I was like,
dang,
I hate this. And here's the thing. I didn't want to delete what was there, but I put it on private. And I spent, no kidding you guys, I probably unfollowed 300 to 400 people a night. Like I made it a homework for me. I was like, I know I've got till this amount of time to get all of this done, but I didn't want to delete the memories and stuff. Yeah. So I took my time. I deleted 65,000 people.
Wow.
And then I put it, I was like, I'm not kidding. It was crazy. Dylan thought I was nuts, but I was like, I want to protect him everywhere I can. And so I did that on his Instagram. And now looking back at like things I post, I'm like, oh, I got to watch it. Yeah. Because you just never know.
It's hard. It's so hard.
The world has changed.
The world has changed, and it's so, so many opinions out there, and you don't ever know really what's, you think like, oh, this is only going to like my friends. Like,
I know.
Who's following, and then you're like,
I think like only like there's good, I know there's terrible people, but in my inner circle, there's good people, there's like genuine people. Yeah. And so you think like everyone is. And it's really sad that it is so hard. I feel that as a mom. I do. I'm sorry, Natalie. I'm right there with you. It's hard.
Tough. Well, Amy, I appreciate your time. This has been a lot of fun. Was it as scary as you thought?
No, we could do this anytime.
Well, your book is called Holy Disruptor. It'll be out October 14th. I'm assuming you can pre-order now wherever you pre-order books.
Yeah.
And I know first of all that pre-orders matter. So if you want to support Amy, get your hands on this book. It's very fascinating. I know everyone who's listening to the show is fascinated with this type of content. It's an incredible story, and one that is also filled with hope and kind of endurance. And we all have some sort of baggage that we have to work through. And so
we can disrupt it and have a peaceful life.
Thank you for sharing your story, Amy.
Thanks for having me.
That was great.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, if you loved what you listened to, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.